Hi, hola, bonjour, hello everyone. This is the last workshop we're doing on new narratives. Is the one that we are doing in English and is within the Bridget project that is found by the European Union, where we are almost 10. Hi, hola, bonjour, hello everyone. This is the last workshop we're doing on new narratives. Okay, sorry for that. That are the inconvenience of the live things happening on real time. So I had my YouTube switch. I didn't know it. And then I began to hear myself. I don't know if you hear it. I think so. Well, but in case I'm going to begin again, so we can cut that for the recording in YouTube. So let's go back to the Bridget's presentation at the beginning. Okay, so hello. This is the new narrative in English for Bridget's project. Is a project funded by the European Commission, where we try to construct bridges between academic research and other ways of research and other ways of communication based on the analysis of the narratives of migration that are in Europe and almost, we can say, in the all Occidental and North world. Well, my name is Lucila Rodriguez. I'm director of a small but brave foundation called Por Causa. And I'm going to introduce, first of all, Por Causa, so you understand what we have been doing and who we are. And then we will talk about the toolkit that has been developed within Por Causa and the Bridget's project. Okay, Por Causa, we were born 10 years ago to reconnect audiences with information. Because we realized that social information was produced but wasn't consumed, or the less and less consumed by audiences. So we asked ourselves a question that was, okay, why people are not consuming the information we're producing? And we were communicators, we were journalists, we were academics. So and we thought it was the supports and the way we were expressing information. We never questioned that it was the information itself. And after 10 years working, I can tell you that we have realized that is the information itself what is the main problem, and not so much the supports. And we have come to this conclusion by studying how audiences feel. We decided to specialize in migration in 2015, while we were in the middle of the top movement of Syrian population through Greece, coming like all these large amounts of people through the sea, and where the first accidents, big accidents, and big loss of lives began on the Adriatic. And it was also when European Union began to close the borders. It was also when Brexit took place. So everything that happened in 2015, 2016 were signs to make us work on migration. And we focus within all in migration narratives. So we produce new information every year. We reach 45 million audience per year. You will ask maybe you say, okay, these people, what are they talking about? I never heard about them. Well, it might be, but our brand is not so important, but our results are, because we work with lots of papers, newsrooms, and information creators and distributors. You may know The Guardian, Lighthouse Report, The Spiegel, and in Spain, almost with any newsroom that exists. So yes, we do almost 200 products a year. We do almost 6 reports, academic reports a year. And yes, we reach not less than 55 million people a year. With that, thanks to that, using a special methodology that we have changed, or we have support and investigation that pushed government that was a corrupt government in one of the terrestrial borders that we have in Africa. I don't know if you know that there are 2 Spanish cities in African soil that are in the border with Morocco. And one of them, Melilla, where the massacre of almost 100 of people that we know were killed last year, had a corrupt government. And this government changed thanks to an investigation that we published. We support the creation of the first media created by migrants and Syrian refugees in Spain. Is both in Spanish and Arab, and his name is Bainana. I really recommend you to visit it, to visit the website if you don't know it, because it's really interesting. We have support through our Congress of Migration Journalism. We are in the 6th edition, and thanks to it, we support the change of the editorial lines of papers and journalists, introducing ways of understanding migration in a different, with a different perspective. And we have been building new narratives together with them for almost 6 years. And we have, for example, also produced the first data in the last 20, almost 15 years about irregularity in Spain, producing also like the picture of the irregularity, and discovering that the shape of the irregularity, it was on the body of a woman coming from South America, working in the sectors of cares and bars. So was a bit different of what we expected, or what the main vision of irregularities depend here in Spain, that is more with this idea that is a Black person coming from Africa that doesn't represent the major population on an irregular situation at all in Spain. Okay, well, what is the situation? Well, the situation is that since internet became part of our daily life, and that might be around 2010, we are overwhelmed with communication impact. Why we put 2010? Because that was the moment, I mean, is an estimated moment when we understand that smartphones became mainstream. Everybody had a smartphone on 2010, and that changed the capacities of communication of anyone, of everyone. we were, all of us individuals, able to produce, to send, and to receive message in real time. And that was a huge change. It was the more important change in the paradigm of communication. Very important is that the fact that we are in the middle of the communication stream, thanks to our smartphones, make us people that are completely overwhelmed with all the information that we can consume and produce. And also it means that we are working on a subconscious mode most of the time. And this is something we have to take into account when we produce and spread information. And it also means that it's more difficult to get to the audiences when you want to do so. Within that, we have the loss of the power of the media. And the fact that media was the intermediary, so it was the people we talk to if you wanted to spread information, though journalism is not that, because journalism is still alive, but it's transforming. So we have all these journalists producing different things that are not related with media outlets, like they become influencers, so you can find them as individuals producing information in supports like TikTok or Instagram, or so they have their own brand. This is not so much for like daily information, but you can find very interesting influencers transmitting context information that you can follow, and that have lots of power to convey information. Then you have all the YouTubers and all the YouTube productions that can include documentaries, adaptations. YouTube used to be something for activists and NGOs, but now you have even medias that have been created for YouTube. And then finally, you have Netflix, and you will think that I'm talking about something that is not information, but it is. We have so many referent journalists working, helping both documentaries and fiction to understand the base ground information and produce a reliable context, so the story that is being told can be understood correctly. So yes, journalism is transforming, audiences are transforming, young people are not reading anymore, and I'm sorry to say that, but it is so. So everything is audiovisual, and we have to transform ourselves and transform the contents that we are creating to these kind of platforms. But of course, it makes it harder because it opens the door to misinformation. So disinformation is something that is produced by content powers to unstabilize societies and democracies. It's nothing casual, it's not a bunch of crazy doing it. There is a very specific and organized action to create this information, and hate speech is entering in our lives through this door. And thanks to the hate speech, we're seeing like the Overton window is expanding and expanding, making our capacity to accept unacceptable things wider. And you might not know what is the Overton window, but I'm going to explain it to you. There is a very funny tale with Calvin and Hobbes. I should have it in the presentation, where Calvin, which is a young boy, very young boy, ask his mom if he can drink venom, or if he can jump through the roof, or if he can kill himself with a knife. And the mom, of course, says every time, no, Calvin, no, Calvin, no, Calvin. And then he said, okay, mom, so can I eat a cake? And it's very important because the mom said, okay, nice try. So she understands that he is trying to open this window of situations. So at the end, the fact that he ate a cake is not important anymore, because it's not about killing himself. So, but we have the same on migration. We began talking about how to accept that migrants couldn't go through the borders. We accepted that the status of freedom of movement in Europe was closed. We accepted that the regime of refugees, international refugees laws, were not respected. And now we're accepting that people can die because they are moving from a country to another. And this acceptance is a result of an opening of the Overton window in the migration discourse and narrative. And this is something that bring us and remind us to another historical moment in 1930, where this happened the same. So it's important to have it in mind. And then since the 11th of September, we have been suffering a crisis after the other. First was the terrorism, then it was the Big Depression in 2008, and then it was the COVID, and in the middle, so many little crises, and every time we try to stand up, and then another thing arrives and comes, and we really are living in a narrative of crisis and dystopia. Like we could accept anything right now after the COVID. And that, at the end, that helps to present the migration in this frame like a crisis too. It's like we don't talk about migration as a normal fact, like people are moving from a place to another. We're talking about migration as something exceptional, like on a crisis frame every time. And because it is exceptional, that requires exceptional measures that justifies the measures governments and structures are proposing that were unacceptable like 10 years ago. So migrants are victims that we have to protect. And attention here, because we are very used to the protection, the good protection, like we want to protect migrants as equal, not as equals, but as people that deserve the same as us, but we don't see them as the same as us. So seeing a migrant as a victim is like, is otherness, is not community. And it also opens the door to other arguments like human trafficking. So they are victims of human trafficking. That was one of the reasons that Margaret Thatcher gave to close the gates on the borders of the UK to some kind of migrants, that she wanted to avoid human trafficking. She wanted to protect migrants from mafias. And this is something the alt-right is using too in its public debates. Another thing is we have to protect them against poverty. Of course, this is all these narrative of the development and the investment on the third countries to help them, that comes from the colony time. Or we have to help them through charity, which neither is a good option, because we're always helping someone that is not like us. And then you also have this vision of the migrants, delinquents who have to be persecuted and eliminated, mainly. we're talking about the main frames. There are other frames like the hero or that are less exploited, but still even the hero frame would be a frame that will be talking about someone different than us, not like us, which is better than us, maybe just for a while. Is it long-lasting as a frame? Okay, so what we propose is, and I'm going to check the time, because this is a short presentation, so we're almost in the middle. We have like 15 minutes left. So what we propose, and now we're right into the hot point of the narrative. Yes, we propose to build stories thinking on the audiences, not thinking on what is being said, but thinking about what we want to say and thinking about who is receiving this message. And I can tell you our audiences are those ones that are not lovers, they're not haters, they're in the middle, they don't know very well what to think, and we still can help them to choose the best narrative and the best approach. So we need to reconnect with this audience. We lost this audience because we lost the public debate control. So we need to reconquer the public space of debate, and we need to reframe the migration narrative. So the method I'm presenting is designed to reach these ambivalent audiences I was talking about, who don't know what to think. So many of them, so much people, they don't know what to think. More than the 30% of the population right now is ambivalent. In Spain, we're estimating that almost 50% could be ambivalent, and it might be very similar in the rest of Europe, like between 40 and 50% of ambivalent, which means lots of people. It wasn't so in 2018, when we did the first study. The ambivalence was of a third of the population, 33% at the most. And the haters were like 15%. So there has been a shape, and that is because of the narrative. Okay. Yes, very important to say that what we're proposing is just a methodology that can be combined with other methodologies that can be for use for other things. We're not talking about doing lobby. We're not talking about supporting legislations. We're talking about talking to wide audiences to reframe the way they see migrations on a wide and general narrative. Okay, we have three main rules to fight hate speech and to reframe the migration narrative. The first rule is to create a new frame. And this is the most important rule of the three of them, because it's the harder one. The hate speech is proposing us frames that are very easy to get in. And they don't use data. They are sensitive. They understand that perception is what rules in the mind of the people and not reality. We create the reality through our perception. So we have to substitute the narrative and not try to fight the narrative from it, because the first frame is the one that stays. Here we can talk about Lakoff, George Lakoff, who wrote this brilliant manual that I can that is interesting for us. Try to find it. You have it in internet. It's very short. It's like 24 pages. It's called Don't Think About an Elephant. So if I tell you not to think about an elephant, the first thing you're going to do is to think about an elephant, probably about the nose of the elephant. So that is the same with any narrative you want to deactivate. Because if you are talking about this narrative to say that is bad or that is wrong, then you're talking about this narrative. Nobody is going to remember the buts you're putting to the narrative, but the narrative itself. And let's go to an example. If I tell you that migrants, everybody says that migrants get social paid, but that is not true. What stays in your mind is migrants get social paid. So it's very difficult to deconstruct a frame that has been put there before. So you have to create a new frame. Another very important thing that we say in Por Causa is shit is not, how you say that in English? I was blocked. How you say that in English, Vanessa? Don't share the shit. Don't share the shit. And we say that because mainly through social networks, you're like sharing all the information you don't like to say you don't like it. So it's like, oh, this is rubbish. Oh, this is bullshit. And this is one of the strategies that was used by Trump to conquer wider networks. Because when you share this shit in your network, you're putting your network on service for this message and these ideas. And so the story you don't tell doesn't exist. Never forget that. There is no, the worst thing you can do to someone that is producing contents is not to share these contents with anyone. So, and when you create your new frame, remember that repetition is the mother of learning. So repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat until the frame that you're proposing is there in the main stage. Okay, stop otherness. We already talked about otherness. You need to create contents that talk about community, not about other people you want to help, but about a community that needs everyone. Because empathy and interest rises easier when the story is about something you feel and something that you feel as yours. If you're talking about people that, for example, before migrants, we are all women or men or children, we are all professionals, we all do things, we all feel things, we all want things that can be the same. So try to build the stories through those paths and not through the path of the separation. That doesn't mean that other histories and narratives can be built, but on the difference, but always through the things that we have in common. So, for example, migrant organizations talk a lot about their feeling and the way they feel migrants in a country, but they want to be part of the community at the same time. So let's say that's someone that has been spending 15 years in a country. Where is he from? The country where he is living or the country where he came from? Someone that was born almost second generation. So it's about trying to find the common points. And still, bear in mind that we're talking about constructing narrative for wide audiences. Okay, the charity doesn't last long. Charity is for the time when you're not risking anything. If you feel threat, if you feel scared, then you're gonna go through your community and you're gonna try to protect your community. And you can see whatever that is outside of your community can be understood as a threat. So you have to build these narratives of community better than narratives of charity. So when you help someone, we use that in Por Causa to talk about migrant youth. It was like, okay, you can talk about young people traveling alone, underage, without their parents, on this process of migrations from the south to the north. In the case of Spain, it was young people from Morocco. Or you can talk about foster families. And foster families, it's about people fostering, opening their houses to other people, and feeling that their life has changed and they have gained so much. And all the stories of fostering, they're hard stories, of course, because life is not perfect. And fostering, of course, it's not perfect. But there are so much stories about success stories about families that have grown thanks to that, and how these young people who were before an acronym, because in Spain we call them through an acronym, become people with a name and a surname and a family, and it changed completely the narrative. So community is the way. And finally, the classification of the migration is completely unrecommended. So talk about refugees, like if it was some kind of people that are refugees and the other ones are migrants, and we don't recommend that at all. We think it's dangerous and it is bad for the narratives, because refugee is a legal term that is decided by the countries. You can be, depending on the country, you can be a refugee for being homosexual in Morocco or not. And in any case, you can get killed for being homosexual in Morocco. So when you decide that refugee is a way to classify migrants, you're establishing levels on the rights that migrants have on the narrative. Of course, there are legal paths that have to be supported and have to be maintained, but they don't need a public narrative for that. They need hard work, legal and indoor and governmental and lobbying work. So use communication for what it is worthy, and be very intelligent while you use it. Finally, the last of the three rules is don't use data to create narratives. Data are very important to create knowledge. Research are based on data, and they are very important on that sense. But for constructing a wider narrative, data, they are difficult to remember. They can be denied. So that is what disinformation is doing. They deny things and they create things. The data of the Brexit was created by the guy who did the campaign, and it was invented by him. It was an estimation, but it was a big data. It wasn't about. They didn't create the campaign through a bunch of data that were repeated. They created the campaign through a bunch of ideas that were regaining the perception and the needs of the population that received them. Perception will never be overcome by data, never. And you have to be wiser and try to find the same the way to express all your knowledge without using data. Okay, considerations, and we are arriving to the end of this workshop. Only 5 minutes more left, so I hope you are enjoying. And remember, Bridget's, you can find in Bridget's the toolkit we are presenting here today in the webpage of Bridget's. So please visit it. And considerations. Make it local. Talk about local stories that are easier to understand. Very good example that we use very, very often in Por Causa, and it's not about migration, it's about climate change. For many years we have been seeing this bird on this ice floating in the middle of the melted oceans in the poles. And it reminds you to your dog, but it doesn't appeal to your community. You don't feel that this climate change is going to be bad for you. Though now we're talking about in Spain, we're talking about dryness of some of the regions, and that is scary. And this is something we understand. So we need things that appeal to our community, that make us understand what are the consequences of all these negative narratives that we are sometimes supporting. And that you can see it in your neighborhood. You can see it, by the way, Neighbours, that was a series based on the UK with all this diversity of characters, helped so much to create this feeling of community with different people and different races. So think about that. It's a super good idea to build stories on local news, on local experiences. It helps. And it also gives the possibility to the people to feel like an agent of change. So like they have something to bring to the system to make it better and to change the things. And the local, of course, is empathy. Make it for all means, yes, don't say to the people they're wrong or they're stupid, or if they don't have the knowledge. Like, be respectful with the ambivalence, because they don't know what to think. They are scared. And when you come on a polarized discussion, you're losing them. And it's a pity to lose people that might understand what you want to tell them. You only need to be patient and repeat and repeat and repeat. So on the hate speech producers are going to win. So let's try to do a love speech and to win the battle through love and through empathy. And it might sound flower power, but don't forget hippies stopped the war of Vietnam. Even now they're seen like if it was a movement that the only brought drugs and craziness. It also brought a new way of expression and a unity that hasn't seen in any other movement. So let's ask ourselves why love is not seen as what it is, a political act of unity and community. As our respect Bell Hooks said in some of her works. So let's see love as a political tool to make things different. Make it attractive, of course. We talk about this market of information that is like fulfilled with all these ideas, informations, and so we need to be there and say to the people, hey, stop, listen to me. And we said that before, be creative and brave and try new ways of expression and non-stop and hack the support. The other day, someone was saying to me, how can you advise to the people to use TikTok if it is a weapon of Chinese in colonization? And I said, okay, I will advise anyone to use anything where the people is. We cannot create social networks that work. Even Google couldn't while they try. So let's go with the people is and hack it. So don't think about the support as if you were surrendering to the support. Just hack the support. Make it possible. Give the people the chance to do things. Don't give them like too much, too wide things to tackle. Small things, a signature, a participation on something specific, that helps a lot. And we need utopies. Everything is dystopic. So utopies recommended. Let's dream. Let's everything that we dream. Reality is built on things we dream. So yes, let's regain our hope and our feeling of leadership, and let's think that we can really change narratives in the world. Okay, to use these rules, we recommend some frames that can help these rules to be used. So when you talk about migration, first thing you can try is to make it natural. That is using science like history, sociology, anthropology, geography. This is the origin of all the writings in the world. You can see they have like 2 origins for all the writings in the world, 2 origins, which is just amazing. We are the same. We all come from the same place. So, and that is history. Life begins with migration. Nobody can say differently. Future. We can talk about the past and interpret the past, and there are different ways of tell the story, the history, sorry. But present is the perception, but future is something you have to build. And you never know in which side of the wall you're going to be. So be careful when you're building walls. And culture. The thing that unites the most is culture. Cultural diversity is accepted, is understood. Freddie Mercury, I always put it here, was Parsi. So his family was from India, and he became one of the leaders of the global rock and roll. And lots of people think that he was, if they even think he was from the States, and he was, in fact, he was born in Africa. So yes, diversity in culture is accepted, and then community, as we have been saying. And community and diversity, it's much better to build pro things than anti things. So pro community, pro diversity means so many things. It means no racism. It means no discrimination for gender. It means lots of things. So as an inspiration, I leave it here. And I would love to finish with this picture that was designed by the photographer of Benetton, who was very criticized for some of his campaigns, but he did things that were amazing, and that was one of our favorites, because at the end, this is a mixture of naturalization and community, and at the end, we're all the same. And this is a beautiful way to express it. And sometimes we ask ourselves why organizations were not more brave and courageous and do innovative things like this one that was made in the 80s. So come on, people, we can do it much better. And with that, we can say that we can finish the presentation. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay, so I hope you liked the presentation of the toolkit. Again, do not hesitate in visiting Bridget's website. It's worthy, it's full of information. If you like narratives, it's a way you have to visit, it's a place you have to visit, but you also will find the toolkit that we will send to all the people that have been registered to these workshops to share it with them. And again, thank you very much for being with us, and have a very nice, whatever you have now, evening, morning, and day. Take care.